Diglossia, I think that's how you say it in English, use of two languages for different aspects of your life. This is, if you think about medieval, early modern Europe with the use of Latin. So people are speaking German, French, or whatever, but when you write a book or read a book or appear in a court or do something important, or not important, you do it in Latin. So you use Latin. It's an important language aspect of your life. You read in Latin, you write in Latin, you write letters in Latin. But that's not the language you speak with your wife or your servants. So there's a use of two languages. This is very common to this day in the Arab world.
Tell us about that. I find that so fascinating.
So there isn't a language called Arabic. There's no Arabic.
I want to stop for a second. There's no language called Arabic. That's what you just said.
Yeah. So we think for us Westerners or whatever Israelis are, there's Arabic and English and French, and all those are equivalent. But there really isn't an Arabic. There's a lot of Arabics. So in different countries in the Arab world, there's a different Arabic spoken. So there's Iraqi Arabic, there's Egyptian Arabic, Palestinian Arabic, which is very similar to Lebanese and Syrian Arabic, and then there's Moroccan Arabic, and all these are different languages, very different languages. The difference between Moroccan Arabic and Iraqi Arabic is more than the difference between Portuguese and Italian, which we definitely think of as different languages. Now, Portuguese and Italian are similar. They're both descendant of Latin, and there's a lot of similarities, but we definitely don't think of them as dialects. These are different languages. And the same is true about the different dialects of Arabic, different Arabics. You need a different vocabulary, different grammar in some senses. It's a very different language. But that's the language that people speak to each other on the street, that people speak to their children. This is not the real Arabic. When they go to school and they learn grammar, they're not learning about the language they speak. That's a lowly language that there's no point in even discussing. It's just what we talk. The real Arabic, and this is what they learn in school, because they don't learn it from home. They have to learn Arabic in school. This is literary Arabic, and this is an international language. This is a language not only that all the books are published in, but also when you're listening to the radio, people are speaking in this literary Arabic, or when you're watching a movie or a TV show, for the most part, they're speaking this literary Arabic.
So what you're saying is most Arabs actually speak two languages, their local language, Amia, and then the official language, Fusha. Is that fair to say?
That's exactly it.
And that's a mind-blowing concept to an American English speaker until you think about African American English. So if you grow up in certain poor neighborhoods, there's a language you speak to your friends, and then when you and let's say go to university, you're not going to speak that language at university usually. You certainly won't write your paper in that language that you speak to your friends back in the neighborhood, right? So it's and there we got to be really careful, because people will say, oh, that I don't even know what they'll say, right? Like there's some political incorrectness here, but the reality is what they're speaking in that neighborhood is a dialect unto itself, or maybe its own language with its own internal rules. And if I try to imitate it, I'm going to sound like an idiot, because that's not how they actually talk, because I don't know what the rules are, right? So we think of it as, oh, they speak badly or they speak poorly or they're uneducated. No, they just speak a different language. And they have to learn a second language to go to university, right? And so I remember at Hebrew University, I had a class in Arabic literature. We read about the satanic verses, among other things. And one of the students raised his hand and starts asking a question in his dialect of Amia, of Palestinian Arabic. And the teacher said, you can either ask in Hebrew or in Fusha. And he said, why? What's wrong with my language? He said, when they allow your language at the university in Riyadh, I'll allow it here in my classroom, right? Because you would not speak the local dialect of Arabic that you speak on the street in Riyadh at the university. You're going to speak the official language, All right. So Arabic has that. And what I think you're saying is that in ancient times, Jews knew Hebrew and they knew whatever their local language was. That's where we're going with this.
Exactly. And their local language, and really depends on place and time, but really what happened is there were two languages in each community. There was the local language, which really wasn't. There was a Jewish dialect of that area. So there's different Italians. There are different forms of Italian, Jewish Italian, but the Jewish Italian spoken in Venice, the Jewish Italian spoken, because only very recently is there an Italian. Italian is also as many dialects.
Arguably, there actually isn't even an Italian now, right? So if you go to southern Italy,
the Florence dialect to a certain extent became the standard Italian, and the other dialects, while they may exist, they're.
But if you go to the market in Sicily and Palermo, they're still speaking something different than what's spoken on the news that night, right? And
probably this is all a matter of degrees, but the differences used to be probably much more significant than they are today. Once again, this is all my field expertise, but what happened is there's different like Jewish versions of the local language. So people speak their local dialect, and they speak Sfat Kodesh. Rather, they don't speak it, they know how to read and talk in it and pray in it. Now, Sfat Kodesh, this is like the holy language. This is not Hebrew. This is Hebrew and Aramaic, because unless you're a child or an idiot, you're not studying the Torah. A real Jewish man is studying the Talmud.
That's a great that's going to be quotable there. Unless you're a child or an idiot, you're not. You mean you're not just studying the Torah? You're also studying. What else are you studying? Tell the audience, because they may not know.
Well, you start off with the Torah, you go on to the Mishnah, and then you go to the Talmud, and the Talmud is a sea, which you can swim in forever, and the size is huge, but also there's even the text of the Talmud, which is massive in itself, is only a small part of it, because the Jewish bookshelf is all a commentary on the Talmud. There's books and commentaries written on the Talmud itself. So if you're studying the Talmud, you might not necessarily be studying the Talmud itself, but you're studying a commentary on, or a commentary on a commentary on the Talmud, and etc. So that's where Jewish study has gone. It's mostly concerns the revelation that's hidden inside the Talmud. That's where we get our laws, because
the revelation hidden inside the Talmud. Wow, we have to unpack that. But let's save that for the second half if you have time.
Okay, sure.
So you're saying that the Jews, let's say in Tiberias, in the 3rd or 4th century CE or AD, they're speaking. What are they speaking? Let's ask that question.
What century?
4th century. Let's say 4th.
So the 4th century, they're speaking Aramaic. They're speaking Aramaic. That's why the Talmud is written. The Jerusalem Talmud, in this case, is written in Aramaic. That's their language. That's also the language of their neighbors, unless they are speaking Greek. But their poorer neighbors, Jews, non-Jews, are speaking Aramaic, and they're the well-to-do Romans, which they are speaking Greek, and maybe some well-to-do Jews, but they are praying in Hebrew, probably.